Let us strip away the illusions immediately and look the truth in the eye. Evolution is not a fairy godmother who wants you to live happily ever after, sipping whiskey by the fireplace surrounded by a loving family. Evolution is a cynical, cold, and absolutely ruthless mechanism. And this mechanism has only one goal: the transfer of genetic material into the future. It does not care about your personality. It does not care about your bank account. It does not care about your nervous system. To evolution, you are simply a carrier of resources and a genome. And to extract this resource from you as efficiently as possible, nature created the perfect infiltration agent. A biological robot programmed to hack your defenses, bypass logical filters, and push buttons you do not even know exist. You call her a woman. Poets call her a muse. But we, men who have passed through the meat grinder of divorces and breakups, must learn to call things by their proper names. This is the perfect hunting machine. You become especially vulnerable right now. You are between 40 and 70 years old. You are the nation's gold reserve. You survived the chaos of the past decades. You built a career. You accumulated capital. You think you are a predator because you manage a business or manage people. But in the biological game, you are the most desirable prey. Imagine yourself as a huge, well-fed mammoth walking through the tundra. And all around are packs of huntresses. And each pack has its own tactics. Some strike head-on, others dig pits, and others pretend to be harmless herbivores to get close enough to slit a sleeping man's throat. And the scariest part is that you do not even see the danger. Because your brain, blinded by instincts, sees not a huntress, but a dream. You walk into the trap yourself, smiling and anticipating pleasure. Today we will conduct a complete deconstruction of this process. We will not engage in moralizing. We will not blame women for being who they are. That is as pointless as blaming fire for burning or water for drowning. They act according to their firmware. Our task is to study this firmware. We will analyze how the strategies for seizing your resources change every 10 years. We will see how the bait transforms, from the firm body of a 20-year-old student to the sophisticated psychological pressure of a 40-year-old businesswoman. We will crack open the mechanics of the honey trap, the duty trap, and the soul trap. I will show you exactly how the switches in their heads flip and why the one who was a cute kitten yesterday will turn into a cold-blooded debt collector tomorrow. But our main goal lies deeper. Throughout this conversation, I will give you clues, hints at the existence of a fourth, most important trap. This is the phantom, a hidden virus in your own consciousness that forces you to make the same mistakes over and over again. Family psychologists stay silent about it, because you cannot build long-term therapy on this knowledge. But understanding the nature of the phantom is the only key to freedom. If you listen to the end and grasp the essence of this phenomenon, you will become invulnerable. You will be able to take the bait without swallowing the hook. You will be able to enjoy women without becoming their food. This is a promise I give you right now. However, before we step into this dangerous territory, I ask you for a small favor. Like this video. Right now. This is not for my ego. It is a signal to the algorithms that the truth is being spoken here. A truth that is uncomfortable, that hurts the eyes, but is vital for every man. And if you are not subscribed yet, fix that. We are starting our dive down the rabbit hole, and believe me, the bottom is much deeper than you can imagine. Chapter 1. Level Siren 20 to 29 years old. Biochemical attack. Let us start from the beginning, with the brightest, loudest, and most dangerous period. The Siren period. Age 20 to 29. Why do adult, successful men of 40 or 50 so often lose their heads over this specific category? Why do the smartest people running corporations turn into obedient idiots at the sight of a 22-year-old secretary or student? The answer lies not in psychology, but in neurobiology. This is pure chemistry, against which your brain has practically no antidote unless you have prepared in advance. Phase 1. Visual hack and control seizure. At this age, a woman's main weapon is her fertility. It is a signal that she is ready for reproduction right now. And this signal is not broadcast in words. It is broadcast through visual markers: smooth skin without wrinkles, a specific waist-to-hip ratio, a sparkle in the eyes, high muscle tone, a ringing voice. When a man sees such an object, the signal from the optic nerve does not go to the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logic, planning, and risk analysis. No, the signal goes directly to the ancient structures of the brain, to the so-called nucleus accumbens and the amygdala. These are the centers of pleasure and instinct. An instant, powerful release of neurotransmitters occurs. Dopamine hits the head, promising the anticipation of a reward. Testosterone jumps, mobilizing the body for conquest. Endorphins drown out critical thinking. You have not even spoken to her yet. You just saw her fix her hair or how the fabric of her dress hugs her hip, and your brain has already made a decision. I want this. The Austrian Dr. Sigmund Freud called this the ID, the dark, animal part of the psyche that demands immediate satisfaction. At this moment, you do not see a human being with her character, flaws, and empty inner world. You see a source of eternal youth. It seems to you that by touching her, you will become younger yourself. You are not buying her. You are buying the illusion of canceling old age. And for this illusion, you are ready to pay any price. Phase 2. Demo mode and erotic blackmail. A 20-year-old predator, even if she has not read books on manipulation, intuitively feels this power. She understands that her body is an asset whose price is currently at an all-time high. And she begins the bidding. But she does not do it like a merchant in a bazaar. She does it through demo mode. In the first weeks or months, she is ideal. She laughs at your jokes, even if they are not funny. She looks at you with admiration, as a teacher and patron. She is light. She does not burden you with mortgage problems or her mother's illnesses. In bed, she portrays passion and readiness for experiments. She creates a vacuum for you in which there are no problems, only celebration and sex. The eroticism of this period is tied to the feeling of novelty and forbidden fruit. You feel like Pygmalion sculpting his Galatea. You feel that you are teaching her, unlocking her potential. But in reality, you are the one being trained. The mechanism is simple. As soon as you get hooked on this dopamine drug, as soon as you get used to being greeted in lace lingerie and with a smile, the introduction of paid services begins. At first, these are trifles. A new phone because the old one is glitching and she cannot send you photos. Paying for Uber Black because men harass her on the subway. Then the stakes rise. Trips, paying for a rented apartment, helping a poor friend. These are microtransactions. You do not notice the sum accumulating. It seems like pennies compared to the high you are getting. But here lies the main trap. She starts applying the push-pull technique. Today she gives you an enchanting night, and tomorrow she is cold, does not pick up the phone, or claims to be busy. In an adult man, this causes panic. Your brain, already accustomed to the dose, demands more. You start thinking, what did I do wrong? Maybe I gave too little? Maybe I seemed old. And you start compensating for this fear with money. You overwhelm her with gifts to return that state of euphoria. You buy her attention, and she, sensing your insecurity, tightens the leash even more. Phase 3. The financial meat grinder and the inevitable finale. Let us look at the economics of a relationship with a siren. It is always a loss-making project. You invest in an asset that does not belong to you. It is like doing a luxury renovation in a rented apartment from which you can be evicted without warning at any moment. At 20, a woman has not yet formed an empathy center towards a mature man. To her, you are a representative of another species. You are a resource base. She cannot love you the way you want because biologically she is wired to seek an alpha male of her own age for reproduction. You are a temporary airfield for her, where she can refuel, repair her wings, and fly on. The most terrible blow happens when the resource runs out. Suppose you have problems in business, or your health falters. You wait for support. You wait for the one you showered with gold to hand you a glass of water. But to your surprise, you discover a void. She disappears. Instantly, without explanation, or with a cruel phrase. You have become boring and depressed, and I am young, I want to live. And this is a low blow that breaks many men. You are left with a broken heart, a hole in the budget, and the feeling that you were used and thrown away like old packaging. This is where many drink themselves to death or have heart attacks. Because the realization that they loved not you, but your capabilities, is unbearable for the male ego. Safety protocols for level siren. So what should you do? Forbid yourself from looking at young women? Go into a monastery? Of course not. We are men. We are living people. But if you enter a tiger cage, You must have a whip and a gun. The rule of interaction with 20-year-olds is 1. Rigid internal cynicism with external gallantry. Treat it as a deal, a fair market deal. You buy emotions, aesthetics, and tactile sensations. You pay for this with money and time. Period. Do not invest your soul there. Do not make plans for 10 years ahead. Do not introduce her to your children. Do not rewrite assets to her name. And most importantly, be ready for it to end tomorrow. As soon as you internally accept the fact that she is a temporary passenger in your train compartment, you become invulnerable. You will start enjoying the ride instead of shaking with fear that she will get off at the next station. Let her get off. Another one will come to take her place. After all, the resource is yours. And her youth is a commodity that spoils with every second. Remember who the real master of the situation is here. If the siren level was like a bright flash or a sprinter's race, then the manager level is a marathon through a swamp with a backpack full of rocks. A woman between the ages of 30 and 42 is a completely different biological creature. This is no longer the fluttering butterfly who wanted a handbag and a trip to Bali. This is a tank disguised as a cozy domestic cat. At this age, a fundamental shift occurs in her brain. The search for the best genome program is replaced by the nesting and maximum provisioning program. And if you have fallen into her field of view, you are viewed not as a hero lover, but as a load-bearing structure for her future building. Transformation of the predator. From muse to CEO, let us break down the psychological profile of this woman. By 30, she has usually already been burned. She has already realized that handsome bad boys are good in bed, but bad at paying the mortgage. Her romantic fog has dissipated. Now she is a pragmatist. She looks at a man the way an HR manager looks at a candidate for a top position. She evaluates your assets, real estate, income stability, growth prospects, health status. She is looking for a father, and not necessarily for her children, but for herself. She needs someone who will solve all her problems, close all her open loops, and provide her with the social status of a successful woman. She virtuously changes masks. On the first dates, she can still turn on demo mode, but now it has more depth. She listens to you carefully. She talks about how important comfort is, how tired she is of partying, and how she wants simple female happiness. And you, tired of capricious hysterical girls, think, finally, here she is, a normal, mature, understanding woman. You relax. You think you have found a quiet harbor. But in reality, you have sailed into a dry dock where they will now start dismantling you for parts to build her empire. As soon as you put on the ring or start living together, the trap snaps shut. And this trap is not made of iron, but of cotton wool and a sticky web of obligations. Mechanics of the trap, the guilt tool, and the real man. The main weapon of a 30-year-old woman is manipulation of the concept of duty. If a 20-year-old said I want, then this one says we need. Notice this substitution. We need to do repairs, we need to change the car, we need to visit mom. Behind the word we, I is always hidden. But you do not notice this. She masterfully embeds her desires into your value system. She uses social scripts hammered into your head since childhood. You are a man must. A responsible person does not act like that. This is psychological castration. She slowly but surely cuts off everything from you that does not bring money into the family. Your friends? They are a bad influence on you and drink beer, better sit at home. Your hobby? You spend too much time and money on fishing, and our faucet is leaking. Your motorcycle? It's dangerous. You are a father. Think about us. Step by step, she narrows your world down to the route work, home, supermarket. You turn into a function, into an ATM on legs that also has to take out the trash. And the scariest part is that you feel guilty if you try to rebel. She looks at you with eyes full of sacrifice and says, I am trying for us. And you give up. You take a second job, you take out loans, you kill your health to meet the bar that she constantly raises. Sexual economy. Scarcity as a management method. And now let us talk honestly about what happens in the bedroom. At this age, sex undergoes radical changes. Freud called this sublimation, the redirection of sexual energy into labor. The manager woman intuitively uses this principle. She creates an artificial deficit. Sex stops being a spontaneous joy, it becomes a currency with which she pays for your achievements. This is training according to the Pavlov method. Brought a bonus, got access to the body. Forgot about the mother-in-law's birthday, sleep on the couch. I have a headache, I am so tired with the kids, I need to get in the mood. Familiar phrases? She does not refuse you directly. She makes the process of obtaining sex so complicated and bureaucratic that sometimes it is easier for you to jerk off or just go to sleep than to complete this quest. And this is not done without reason. An undersexed man, in a state of mild frustration, is the ideal worker. Your aggression, your unspent energy is sublimated into making money. You tear your veins out at work, hoping that if you become even more successful, even richer, she will become that passionate lover she was in the beginning again. But this is a lie. The inflation of her demands will always outpace your capabilities. Buy an apartment, she will need a house. Buy a house, she will not like the neighborhood. Sex will be issued strictly by coupons to keep you on a short leash. Ghost of the phantom at the manager level, and here, in this stifling atmosphere of everyday life and duty, our phantom peeks out again. Who do you see in her? You see the keeper of the hearth, the mother archetype. You project onto her the image of a woman who creates a rear guard. It seems to you that this servitude is the price for safety, that when you become old and frail, she will hand you that glass of water. You endure humiliation, control, and lack of sex for the sake of the illusion of family. You think, well, everyone lives like this. But this is self-deception. You live with a top manager who simply manages the resource entrusted to him efficiently, you. And if the resource becomes unprofitable, the manager will close the project without hesitation. Statistics of divorce initiators at this age speak for themselves. In 80% of cases, women file for divorce. As soon as they have squeezed the maximum out of you or found a more promising project, they leave, taking the children and half the property. And you are left with alimony and a broken faith in justice. Safety protocols for level manager: how to survive in this meat grinder? The only way is not to give away the controlling stake in your life. First, financial transparency, but separate budgets. You must know where the money goes and strictly suppress attempts at emotional spending. The phrase "I want so much" is not an argument for allocating a budget. The argument is expediency. Second, destruction of guilt. Remember, you owe nothing by the fact of being born a man. You owe only your children by law and conscience and your parents. You owe a woman only what you agreed upon on the shore. If she starts manipulating with phrases like "real man," answer, a real man decides for himself what he owes. Third, do not be afraid to be the bad guy. Paradoxically, manager women despise the henpecked men they created themselves. As soon as you start bending, she loses sexual interest in you. But if you slam your fist on the table, if you have your own interests, if you can go to the garage or to friends despite her dissatisfied face, she begins to respect you. The fear of losing a managed resource forces her to behave silkily. Keep her on her toes. Do not give her full power. The controlling stake must always be with you. Otherwise, a hostile takeover is inevitable. Chapter 3. Level which 45 plus years old. The Soul Trap. Welcome to the third, highest level of difficulty. If you think that after 45 women retire and start knitting socks, you are making a fatal mistake. It is at this age that the most dangerous predators go out hunting. I call this type the witch, but not in the fairy tale sense, but in the sense of the knowing mother. Or, if you like, the queen. This is a woman who has passed through fire, water, and the copper pipes of divorces. She raised children, she possibly built a career. She has no illusions. She has no pity. She has only cold, crystal-clear pragmatism and excellent knowledge of male psychology. If a 20-year-old wants your wallet and a 30-year-old wants your salary and status, then this woman wants your soul. And believe me, she will get it if you are not careful. Hormonal coup. Why cougars are so dangerous? Let us start with physiology, because it dictates behavior. At the age of 45 plus, a grandiose restructuring takes place in the female body. The level of estrogen, the hormone of nesting and care, begins to fall. But the level of testosterone relative to estrogen becomes higher. What does this mean for you? It means that before you is no longer mommy and no longer princess. Before you is a combat comrade with female breasts. Her shyness disappears. Social breaks go away. At this age, women often have a so-called testosterone renaissance. Libido can jump to a level she did not have even at 20. But the quality of this desire changes. She is no longer looking for romance under the moon. She is looking for filth. She is looking for carnal pleasures without taboos. She is ready for experiments that make young girls' eyes go round. And for a man aged 50, who has already begun to doubt his male power, this becomes the most powerful drug. She tells you, I want you any way you are. I will do everything for you that you were afraid to ask your wife. She legalizes your secret fantasies. She removes prohibitions. And you, intoxicated by this sudden debauchery, think that you have ended up in paradise. You think, here she is, the one who finally revealed me as a male. But this is not paradise. This is a laboratory. She uses sex as a tool of the deepest binding. She hooks you on sensations that you will not get anywhere else. And as soon as the needle enters the vein, she begins to dictate terms. Psychological trap. The gray cardinal, the second aspect of the trap of this age, is understanding. A woman over 45 is an ideal practicing psychologist. She will not nag you about scattered socks or demand a report on where you were. This is the level of amateurs. She acts subtler. She becomes your best friend. She listens. Oh, how she knows how to listen. You come to her tired, broken, misunderstood by the world, and she pours you whiskey, looks into your eyes, and says, they don't appreciate you. You are a genius. You are a rock. And you melt. You lay out all your secrets to her, all your business schemes, all your fears. You give her the keys to your consciousness. She creates a cocoon of comfort around you. It is so warm, so cozy in this cocoon that you do not want to go outside. You gradually cut off friends because it is more interesting with her. You stop communicating with children from past marriages because she so subtly noticed their ingratitude. She begins to manage your reality. Her advice seems to you like your own thoughts. Honey, maybe you shouldn't invest in this project? I think this partner will deceive you. And you agree. You think this is the intuition of a loving woman. But in reality, this is a cold calculation to minimize risks for her future inheritance. She becomes your neck, which turns the head so imperceptibly that you are sure you are looking where you want to yourself. Survival cynicism, Black Widow on minimum settings, but the most terrible feature of this level is the lack of pity. At 20, a woman can leave on emotions. At 30, out of resentment. At 45, she will not go anywhere as long as it is unprofitable for her. But if you become a burden, oh, here the most interesting part begins. At this age, a woman is looking for guarantees of a calm old age. You are a pension fund for her. While you are healthy and bring income, she will blow dust particles off you, treat your prostate, and feed you healthy porridge. Not out of love, but so that the cash cow does not die ahead of time. But imagine a situation, stroke, bankruptcy, loss of status. You become weak. A young wife in such a situation will run away in horror. An average one will throw tantrums. And the witch will sit down with a calculator and calculate. Which is more profitable, spending strength and money on your recovery, or quietly pushing you to the edge to enter inheritance rights faster? I know stories when such ideal, understanding wives coolly disconnected their husbands from life support machines or refused expensive treatment, motivating it by saying that he wouldn't want to suffer. This is the highest aerobatics of cynicism. She loves not you. She loves the comfort you provide. And if you stop providing it, you are subject to write-off. Harsh. Yes. But this is life. Shadow of the phantom. The last hope for the salvation of the soul. Why do men massively fall into this trap? Here our phantom reaches its maximum strength. Jung said that in the second half of life, a man begins to seek contact with his soul, with his anima. You have already proved your coolness to everyone. You have earned money. Now you want a kindred spirit. You want to be accepted entirely, with all sins and weaknesses. And the witch woman brilliantly mimics this request. She puts on the mask of the wise priestess, the combat girlfriend. You project onto her the image of that one, the only one who will hold your hand on your deathbed. You are so afraid of the loneliness of old age that you are ready to close your eyes to any alarm bells. You give her power yourself because you want to be a son in the hands of a strong mommy. This is regression. And this is what kills your male will finally. Chapter 4. Technical Analysis of the Relationship Market. Stock Exchange Summary. And now let us discard the lyrics, turn off emotions, And look at relationships the way a cynical broker looks at the morning stock exchange charts. Sex is the oldest, most in-demand, and most manipulative asset in human history. And like any asset, it has an entry price, volatility, and hidden commissions. The problem with most men is that they enter this deal as amateurs hoping for luck. But a professional always looks at technical indicators. Let us analyze how the quotes of this asset change depending on the age of your partner. Let us start with the most overheated market, Asset 20+. If these were stocks, they would be high-risk startups or cryptocurrency. The prize model works here. You enter this deal as a hunter or sponsor. The quality of the product here has the highest visual component. You get perfect aesthetics, firmness, high tone. This is an asset that is pleasant to hold in your hands and show to friends. But let us look at the yield chart. It jumps like a runner's cardiogram. Today you get enchanting access to the body, and tomorrow the quotes crash to zero because her mood changed or she found a bigger investor. Sex here is often selfish. She allows herself to be loved. She lies like a beautiful doll, expecting you to perform a miracle. You pay a super high price for this, your nerves and constant financial injections for every date. This is an asset for short-term speculation. Playing long here means guaranteed loss of deposit. Moving on to the second sector, Asset 30+. This is no longer crypto, these are mortgage bonds. Boring, expensive, and mandatory for execution. Here the model changes to barter. You are no longer a hunter, you are a debtor and a supplier. Sex in this sector turns into a marital duty. Magic and spontaneity leave it, a schedule and bureaucracy arrive. The quality of the asset becomes technical but bland. Often access to the body is used as a tool of direct blackmail. Did renovations, quotes rose slightly. Forgot about the anniversary, trading is closed, the exchange is not working. You pay for this asset with your freedom and vital energy. The price is fixed, but it is constantly growing due to the inflation of her requests. The risk here is not in a sharp collapse, but in long, exhausting stagnation. You simply service an expensive contract, fearing a penalty in the form of divorce and alimony. And finally, the most difficult and dangerous sector, Asset 45+. This is the market of mergers and acquisitions. The power model works here. You enter here not as a buyer, but as a patient who needs medicine. The quality of this asset hits exactly on target. There are no taboos, no prohibitions. There is a full realization of your fetishes and deep knowledge of male physiology. She is not shy about her body and your dark desires. This is a dirty, real, animal process that causes the most powerful addiction. But the price here is the highest on the market. You pay not with money, but with your soul and will. You get hooked on this level of understanding and debauchery like a hard drug. The risk here is a complete loss of sovereignty. This is a hostile takeover of your personality through the bed. It is practically impossible to get out of these relationships without losses because you no longer want to get out. Summary of the report. At 20, you pay for a beautiful picture and adrenaline. At 30, you pay for the illusion of stability. At 45, you pay for sensations and understanding. But in all three cases, you pay. Remember one simple truth. There is no free access to this resource. The question is only what currency you are ready to pay with, money, nerves, or your own freedom. And the choice of currency determines your survival strategy. And we will talk about exactly how to survive and not go bankrupt in this cruel market right now in the final instruction. Chapter 5. Instruction: How to Save Your Resources and Sanity. We have broken down how this mechanism works. We have seen the gears, springs, and blades of this trap. Now you have a map of the minefield. But a map is useless if you do not know how to defuse mines. Now I will give you 3 fundamental survival principles. These are not tips from glossy magazines on how to fix relationships. These are safety rules for working with highly hazardous substances. If you violate them, you will be torn apart. If you follow them, you will become invulnerable. And it does not matter who is in front of you, a greedy student, a tired wife, or a cunning business lady. These principles are universal, like the laws of physics. Principle 1. The law of absolute autonomy. Remember the predator's main rule. He never depends on his prey. Your main mistake is that you make a woman the center of your universe. You put her mood, her desires, and her approval above your goals. This is the path to slavery. A woman, no matter how strong she seems, biologically seeks someone stronger than her. And stronger is the one who has a mission. You must have a cause. Not just work from 9 to 6, but your personal territory where her entry is forbidden. It can be business, science, sports, a garage, building a house, anything. This is your core. How does it work in practice? Very simply. If you have a scheduled workout or an important meeting with partners, and she asks to stay home and watch a movie because she is bored, you choose your affairs. Without aggression, but firmly. You say, I am busy, I will be free in the evening. At this moment, magic happens. At first, she might get offended. But on an unconscious level, she receives a signal. He is strong. He does not bend. He is the boss. And this causes respect and, as a consequence, attraction in her. A man who cancels his plans for a woman ceases to be a man and becomes service staff. And you do not sleep with staff, you pay staff a salary and fire them. Be autonomous. Your happiness should not depend on the hole between her legs. Principle 2. Mirror technique and power cut. This is the most effective method of combating manipulation, especially at the push-pull and guilt stages. The essence is simple. You must become a perfect mirror. You return to her exactly the emotion and action she gives you. No more, no less. The mistake of most men is that when a woman moves away or grows cold, they start to panic and try to buy her favor. She does not pick up the phone, you write 10 messages. She refuses sex, you buy flowers. This is a fatal mistake. You reinforce her bad behavior with a reward. You are training her to be a bitch. Act differently. She became cold. You become icy. Go about your business. Disappear from the radar. Do not ask what happened. Do not sort out relationships. Just mirror. She will see that her manipulation does not work, that you do not run after her, but calmly live your life. This breaks her script. She is used to a man being a dog on a leash. And here the leash disappeared, and she herself becomes afraid of losing you. She starts taking steps towards you. And here, attention, you also mirror. She gives warmth, you give care. She gives sex, you give resources. Only this way. Goods, money. No goods, no money. It is harsh, but it is the only language that instincts understand. Principle 3. Nuclear button or readiness to walk away. This is your most powerful weapon, your last argument of kings. You must be internally ready to get up and leave at any second. Not for show, to scare. Not with the hope that she will run after you. But for real. Forever. Women are masters of intuition. They smell the scent of your fear a kilometer away. If she knows that you are afraid of divorce, afraid of dividing property, afraid of loneliness, or afraid of not seeing children, she will twist you into ropes. She will press exactly on this pain point. But as soon as you make a decision inside yourself, I'd rather live alone in a rented studio and sleep on a cot than allow myself to be wiped like a doormat, the situation changes radically. Power in relationships always belongs to the one who holds on to these relationships less. The fear of loss is the best aphrodisiac for her. She must know that when crossing the red line, you will not make a scandal. You will just silently pack your things and disappear. And believe me, knowing this, she will think 10 times before starting another manipulation. Your free will, these are your balls of steel. Do not give them to anyone. Revealing the phantom, the main trap inside you. And now we approach the finale, to that very secret chapter for the sake of which we started this conversation. We dismantled the traps of the body, duty, and psychology. But why even knowing all this, smart, experienced, life-beaten men continue to fall into slavery? Why do you still rewrite apartments, forgive cheating, and believe in fairy tales? Because the fourth trap exists, the phantom. And this trap is not in the woman. It is inside your own head. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human soul, called this projection. Listen to me carefully. This will save your life. You never fall in love with a real woman. Never. You fall in love with a picture that you painted yourself. In your head, you carry the image of the ideal woman, the one who will understand, accept, warm, and never betray. Psychologists call this the anima. This is part of your own soul, your dream of love. And when you meet a pretty female, your brain does a terrible thing. It takes this ideal, bright image and puts it on her like a dress. You project your expectations onto her. You think, she has such a deep look, she is probably a sensitive nature, and she is just thinking where to buy new shoes. You think, she is silent because she understands my pain, and she is silent because she is bored and she is scrolling through the feed on her phone. You endow her with qualities that she does not have and never had. You invent her kindness, her loyalty, her mind yourself. You are a director shooting a movie, and she is just a white screen on which you project your film. The phantom is your belief that somewhere there exists the one who will save you from existential loneliness. Predators of all ages use this. A 20-year-old plays along with your fantasy of a young muse. A 40-year-old plays along with the fantasy of a wise combat girlfriend. They just hold the screen while you play the movie. But as soon as you turn off the projector and see a real person, with all her flaws, commercialism, selfishness, and physiology, the magic will disappear, and the trap will crumble. You will stop being a victim because you cannot deceive someone who does not want to be deceived. Stop looking for goddesses in women. See women in them. Dangerous, beautiful, calculating, alive. Stop looking for a mom in them. Stop looking for salvation in them. Salvation is only in you yourself. As soon as you take your projections back, as soon as you realize that the source of love is inside you, not outside, you will become free. You will be able to play with them, sleep with them, live with them, but they will never be able to control you again. You will see the game, not the mirage. Conclusion. Who is the real predator here? Let us draw a line under this long conversation. Everything I said today may sound cynical. Someone will call it misogyny. Fools. You cannot hate a tsunami, an earthquake, or a flu virus. It is an element. A woman is an element of nature whose task is to survive at any cost, using your resources for her offspring. This is not bad and not good. This is a biological fact. Your task is not to be offended by the rain, but to build a strong roof that will not leak. You are a man. You have what they all need: resource, genes, status, intelligence. Well, you own the main prize in this game. Stop behaving as if the prize is them. Let them compete for your attention. Let them prove that they are worthy of being next to you. Study the map of the minefield I gave you. Remember the dopamine needle of 20-year-olds. Remember the guilt of 30-year-olds. Remember the understanding and power of 40-year-olds. And, most importantly, remember the phantom in your head. Kill the hope for a fairy tale, and you will gain real power. If this analysis opened your eyes, if you recognized yourself in these situations and felt the pain of old wounds, that is good. Pain means you are alive and recovery has begun. Support this video with a like. Let the algorithms show this truth to other men who are signing their death warrant right now at the registry office or at the notary. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. This is the territory of common sense. Write in the comments which topic we will analyze next: safety precautions during divorce, or how to recognize cheating at an early stage. I read everything. Take care of yourself. Take care of your resources. And remember, you are all you have. Over and out.